Hey, yo, it's me. It's that TOOJIGG2 Jiggy. TJ Jefferson here, and welcome to the No Contest Wrestling Podcast. My tag team partner, O'Shea Jackson, his other job, his day job is, being an actor and a movie star and being in movies. So right now he's got a movie about to come out, Den of Thieves 2 with Gerald Butler. So they're out doing some press junkets somewhere around town. O'Shea's going to zoom in with us because joining us, we have the WWE NXT heavyweight champion, Trick Williams. He's going to be joining us by Zoom in a few minutes here, along with O'Shea. And we're going to talk everything about what's going on in NXT, deadline coming up. Trick's going to defend his title against Ridge Holland. And, we were actually able to talk to Trick yesterday, Tuesday, before NXT filmed, which is great because what happened at the end of NXT would have made it hard for us to get Trick Williams on the show today. As you saw, Ridge Holland kind of dropped him on his head. So all the best for Trick. We're hoping he's healthy enough to defend his championship on Saturday at Deadline. And, everyone before O'Shea comes, I just want to talk about Monday Night Raw really quick. If you guys watch Raw on Monday, it was one of the greatest episodes of Raw that we've seen in a long, long time. It was chef's kiss. It really was, from CM Punk starting off the show, talking about the favor that he was going to get from Paul Heyman, to him pointing at the invisible WrestleMania sign, to Seth Rollins coming out and saying he should have knocked him out when he first got back to WWE. They start brawling. Then Sammy and Jay come out, and then Sammy decides he wants to fight Seth. They get into the Rumble later in the card. It was a great opening to Raw. And then is WWE trying to turn Gunther a babyface right now? What's going on with him in the Judgment Day? It looks like Finn Balor's going to get a chance to challenge for that World Heavyweight Championship, but who's going to be the face in this? Are we really going to start cheering Gunther, the ring general? Let's see. Let's see where the plans are. Let's see where this road leads us. Drew McIntyre, my guy, he's back. He came back at the end of the show, took out Sami Zayn, and Joe Tessitore did a great job of pretending not to know who Drew was until he took off his hood. That was also a great moment. Joe Tessitore, you're doing awesome. And then what we have is probably the saddest thing that's ever happened in the WWE. Well, one of the most sad things. Let me rephrase that. One of the sadder things that's happened was the breakup of the New Day. 10 years they were together. Their 10-year anniversary. Big E breaks his neck. He's out of action for a while. The last few months, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, they've been just on a downward spiral. It looked like those two were going to break up. Big E comes back, wants to bring the band back together, and they turn on him. They don't care that he broke his neck. They don't care about none of that. They essentially boot Big E out of the New Day. And I'm telling you what, this was one of the biggest heel turns that we've had in a long time. So where does this go? What happens to the New Day? What happens to Big E? What happens to CM Punk, Drew McIntyre? What happens to Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn, Jey Uso? What happens to Gunther, Finn Balor, the Judgment Day? I don't know, but I'm here for it. Wrestling's getting good right now, folks. Buckle up.
Ladies and gentlemen, as promised, as teased last week, which we killed TJ, by the way. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome NXT champion, the man, Trick Williams. Hey. What's good, man?
Oh, yeah, man.
No, man, what's happening?
Now, this dude, Ridge Holland, bro. When I say that we need you to put the hurting on him, man. Mm-hmm. He's kind of what's been really the straw that stirs the drink, and a lot that what's going on with the New Day even. If you could, can you speak something about what's going on over there? What's your feelings? Were you shocked about what we all saw with what's going on with Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston?
Yeah, O'Shea, man, honestly, man, you hate to see it, you know what I mean? Because I don't know about you, but I grew up with a group of guys, I played football, and we was brothers at one point in time, something like the New Day was. And then sometimes it be little things that happen, or big things in this case, that really messes up a great, brotherhood, a great friendship. And, to see this side of Xavier Woods, see this side of Kofi, I'm surprised, because, Kofi's one of those guys who I thought was so solid. And He's one of the guys.
Yeah.
I'm literally here wrestling because I watched Kofi Mania. You know what I mean? And that's what inspired me to say, hey, man, wrestling is really special, man. I think I can make this crossover right here. It was Kofi. So, to see them switch up on Big E is kind of crazy to me. But yeah, man, I guess I got to wait and see how this whole thing plays out.
We want to remind everybody that this Saturday, Minneapolis, Minnesota will host Deadline at the Armory, and we're going to get to see Trick Williams defend that NXT championship. Just want to remind the people of that. And Trick, you said, Kofi Mania was something that helped you make a decision. Tell us about young Trick, man. Were you into wrestling as a kid growing up?
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. Attitude Era, you know what I mean? Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, I was opening a can of whoop ass at 3 years old on my first
Okay.
Yeah. My mom said we had to cut back with the wrestling. You can't be teaching my baby all this craziness that was going on with WWF at the time. So, it was it is what it is. But I grew up, I love wrestling. But I would guess to say like where I'm from, we just didn't know how to get into wrestling. It was a thing that we admired from afar. The idea of becoming a WWE superstar at the time just seemed so, so crazy. It's just something that we watched and we enjoyed it. Once that opportunity presented itself after, I got cut from the Eagles, I was like, man, is this for real? Is this serious? I got an email from WWE. And up to that point, honestly, I had never thought about becoming a WWE superstar. But as soon as I kind of locked in on it, I thought about, the way WWE made me feel when I was young. I was like, oh, I definitely think this is something I could do, pursue. And I've been wrestling ever since.
You've obviously had the it factor. I mean, anybody who, we've been watching this NXT journey, we could see it. I mean, I can count maybe on two hands how many times a crowd has really taken over a superstar's theme and made it as big as where yours is now. But as always, it's all about opportunity. What are or who are some of the people that, if they weren't around, we wouldn't have the Trick Williams that we have today?
Tough, man. We got to start off with God.
Absolutely.
Amen. God, my family, I'll say Trick Williams is a combination of, my family, my folk that raised me, who, the reason why I talk the way I talk, this confidence that you see, that's not something you turn on when the red light is on. It's something that you have to live. So, man, I'm just thankful for my family who, and where I'm from, man, you have to be confident. You have to stand on what you believe and, walk with your chest up high, or somebody's going to try you, or you're going to get joked on. So you got to learn how to joke back. You got to learn how to open your mouth. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I just think, God, my family, where I'm from. And besides for that, if we're talking about inside the business,
yeah,
it's hard to say someone who made Trick Williams, but I'll say someone who laid a great platform for me. I can't go without saying Carmelo Hayes. I learned a lot by being, beside or even, back and to the right of Carmelo Hayes. When he had the main event matches for the PLEs for the Tuesday nights, I was able to sit there and learn, build a rapport with the audience without having the pressure of, hey, I have to put on this 15, 20-minute banger and go get that title. I was able to see what the main event scene felt like without having the pressure first. And I also got to sit back and learn all of Melo's, what he did great, what worked for him. And I got to learn what didn't work for him. So it's kind of like he was, he's the oldest child. Sometimes when you're the oldest child, you the test run.
True that.
I'm like, yeah, I probably ain't gonna do what he did just now. That ain't work good. So, that's just being real. I was able to learn. You know what I mean? So that's why anytime somebody asks me, regardless of the terms that me and him are on, I give him his flowers because he did carry the brand, and I like to think I helped his career just as much as he helped mine. But that's where we at.
As Melo was being positioned, and he was having those main event bangers, and I'm watching him going, yeah, Melo's got something. But on the other hand, I'm looking at this, the heavy behind Mello, the heater, and I'm looking at this dude Trick, and I remember thinking, man, like, this dude's got it. Whatever it is, he has it. And I'm like, as long as this brother can go a little bit in the ring, I think he's got something. And you've obviously proven me right there, as you are sitting as the 2-time NXT champion. How was it for you to break out of that Trick Mello gang and stand on your own?
Yeah, I appreciate that, TJ. Loyalty means a lot to me. You know what I mean? Like, if I say you my boy, then I mean that, you know, thick and through. And it's kind of weird because there's a point in time when my role was to, like you said, be the heater. You know what I mean? Have my boys back. I just wanted to make sure I did my job as good as possible. I wanted to make sure, hey, if I'm going to be doing the introduction for Carmelo Hayes tonight, it's going to be the best introduction on the show. We're going to have the best entrance. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was just totally committed and locked in on making sure that he looked like the star that he was supposed to. And, you know, and just kind of so happened that, you know, when I did get my opportunities, when, you know, I did get my little match and, you know, the people started cheering, whoop that Trick, you know, and, you know, things was going good for me. I felt like the love wasn't reciprocated. So as soon as I got a taste of that, you know, now it turns into, oh, I got to break out. You know, I got to show the people who I am, you know what I mean? Because, you know, I was there for you. You was my boy. And now when, you know, the shoe's on the other foot, the only way we can be cool is if you in the front, you know, and I'm doing the pickup duty. Nah, that ain't right. Now I got to show you who I am. And once it gets to that point, it's easy to turn up. You just gave me the motivation.
Yeah. Now that whoop that Trick in your entrance. That is so box office.
It's amazing.
I can't believe it.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah. What is that, man? What was that feeling the first time you got it?
Well, I would say it was 2 first times. So the first time officially I heard the people chanting whoop that Trick was like early in, you know, the days when I was still with Carmelo Hayes. And, you know, he was still the guy and people was chanting whoop that Trick. Now, I remember looking at him in the aisleway like, yo, what's that about? They with us or they against us? Like, I don't know. You know, and then we went out there and maybe I hit a body slam or something like that. And the people saying, whoop that Trick, whoop that Trick. I was like, oh, that's fire. You know, and yeah. So that's when I knew we had something. I'm going to take a little shortcut. Let's say something. Shout out to Al Capone. He's from Memphis, and he's the original songwriter for Whoop That Trick. From Hustle and Flow, the movie. So when the whole thing was breaking out, man, I just remember him reaching out to me and saying, hey, you got full custody of the Whoop That Trick chant, man. He gave me the merch and everything. So I'm like, bro, this is crazy. This one I knew, like, we got something for real.
Oh, that's love.
It was love for real. So shout out to Al Capone. And then I'll say the second time when Whoop That Trick really became what we all know it to be today was, man, I got a new theme song. And it was around that time when I'm starting to get that momentum, you know, and I told them like, hey, man, I like my last song, but I need something that's a little bit more me. You know, I told them I want heavy horns at the beginning, like something big is coming, you know, like I'm royalty. And I want some horns and I want a lot of bass. And then I played Kendrick Lamar, Family Ties. You know,
that'll do it.
Yeah. I was like, man, y'all can make something like this for me, you know, I'll be happy. So mind you, this is about, I can't remember, it's Heat Wave, Ilya Dragunov. This is the first time they made me that song. Bro, I gave them, you know, Family Ties. They had this next song ready for me in like 30 minutes. I'm like, okay, bet. And I loved it. But of course, it's an instrumental. There's no lyrics, there's no chants on the instrumental version of the song. So I'm making my entrance with the new song. Nobody's heard it yet. And the crowd just fills in instantly. And they chant, whoop that Trick. And they was off beat for like the first 2 times they said it. They was off beat at first, and then they caught it. And like, this wasn't planned. It wasn't something that we tried to make happen. I was like, bro, I just want this beat. The people decided to fill it in with the whoop that Trick chants, which is what I think is super dope because, you know, it was organic. And if you see me get to the end of the aisleway, you see my you see a little smirk on my face, a little smile, like, oh, we just made something special, and we've been rocking and running ever since.
How, and I'm not saying he has everything to do with your success, but how important has Booker T and his just leaning into the theme? How important do you think that's been to you? Because I know for me, like when I hear those horns and I know you're coming, I'm hyped to see you. I'm hyped to hear Booker. So like, what is your relationship with him, and how did he let you know that was something that he was going to do for you?
Man, me and Booker, we was just talking trash right before this interview, man.
Oh, word.
He talking about, we trying to work a match. He talking about he want to get in shape and have one more with Trick Willie.
That's what's up.
Like Book since the jump, he's talked to me like he's my uncle. Like not like a coach per se, more like, man, hey, I'm gonna give you what's real. This is what I dealt with, when I was in the business. This is what I had to do to stand out. Hey, that little extra move you did right there, get rid of that. That's gonna hold you back. That's stupid. And he keep it real with me, and I appreciate that because he really speaks to me like family, and that's just the dynamic we've had. And then with the whoop that trick and the ad lib, man, that's just been the cherry on top. You know what I mean? But the support that he does with the ad libs, he gives me that support in real life too. So shout out to Book, man.
Yeah, I can remember early on when you first got the song, before he really started doing all the ad libs, you'd come out and you'd be like, I need it. And I'm assuming that he picked that up from you. It was like you were taking this in and letting the people know that, yeah, give it to me. I need this. And then a few weeks later, it seemed like then he started to add that, just all part of the presentation, everything necessary to become, a superstar that you have.
For sure, man. Like, man, I don't know where Book says a lot of stuff when he's on that commentary table.
Shuck it, duck it, quack, quack.
Shuck it, duck it, quack, quack.
Oh, yeah, man.
I don't try to figure out where it comes from. I just enjoy it.
Yeah, I've been watching wrestling for a long time, since the early 80s. And Booker, back in the WCW days was always one of my favorites, someone who had locks like me, and I want to say look like me, but we don't have the same body type. I wasn't buff like Booker. But, just to see the success that Booker T had and to have him still around right now, it's amazing. And you said and O'Shea, I don't want to step on you here, but you said he's been influential. I saw that when CM Punk came back, he spent a lot of time in NXT, and I specifically saw a video of you guys chopping it up. What have you learned from CM Punk? How has he kind of stepped in and been someone that the younger performers can go to? Because it seems like that's really what he wanted to do in this business, was help teach you younger cats.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. I mean, I didn't meet CM Punk until after, the rumors about his character was, brought about from other places. So I didn't know what to expect when I met him. But all I'm gonna say is that dude, Punk, man, good dude, like solid. You know what I mean? Like you just tell when some people are just genuine, and he's very genuine, man. Like he takes pride in helping us, the next generation, and to becoming the superstars that we need to be. And he gives us real advice too, man. He talks about how to handle yourself, in the ring, outside the ring, everything it takes to become a superstar. And like you said, even closer to today's time, when we're dealing with different stuff like social media and how to handle, all the, everything that comes with being a superstar in 2024, that other superstars didn't really have to deal with all the way. So, he's been very helpful for a lot of us.
Now, Trick, you've accomplished a lot, and it just from the outside looking in, you've accomplished it in quick fashion. Is there anything, NXT wise, we did see you a little bit on the main roster where the chant got off there too. Let's not ignore that.
Right. That
when you was on the big stage, the chant got off too. But is there anything any goals that you set now, obviously besides winning the big one? Are there matches that you want to do? And also, just to two-part this, as a wrestling fan, a question that we ask on here a lot is, when did wrestling break your heart as a fan?
Oh, man. Okay. I mean, that's a loaded question.
Yeah, bro. I gotta bring it, bro. I'm doing press, so I gotta give you mine.
Okay. So the first part was anything that I want to do at NXT.
At NXT main roster, a dream match that you want to be a part of, or just if you never did a TLC, you ever anything like that.
Yeah, I would say some dream matches. I'm gonna just go down the list that I think would be best for me. I already said Booker T. Trick Williams versus Booker T. I think is something that
you
know what I mean?
Exclusive, TJ.
Okay.
That's the one. For me, I just feel like, hey, that one hits home probably the hardest. The one who I think I would have the best view with, Styles clash. I like Gunter.
Okay.
I can't wait. You get to see each other. And I think he has what it takes to bring out a side of Trick Williams that people haven't really seen before. So, I'm looking forward to that day. Of course, I would say top guy in the business with or without a title right now, Roman Reigns. I mean, he is the guy. And if you're here in this business and you don't want to line up across from him, then you don't really want to be the guy. So Roman Reigns, that's
Trick, that's crazy, Trick. I'm loving this Trick.
I say my faith is extraordinary. Look, man, I've been jumping a long time, man. You got to claim it. And I'll say those are my three.
Okay.
Let's see. Next question was,
when did
wrestling break your heart?
Oh man, it's an easy one. Man, I don't even know if I'm supposed to say this.
As a fan,
yeah. As
a fan, okay.
Yeah.
I just remember, how invested I was into the Kane and Undertaker storyline.
Okay. I know where you're going.
Yeah.
I know where you're going. That's all right.
Those guys was great, man. They're great at what they do. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. Yeah, I know where you're going. I appreciate that.
I had a thought one day, and this is just weird how much wrestling consumes my mind, but I'm driving down the street the other day, and I started thinking, wait a second. Undertaker's parents burned up, and Paul Bearer came out and said this kid, Kane, was his brother. But how do we really, mind you, I had this thought last week, 20 years later. I'm like, how do we know that Kane was really his brother? Like, how do we know that Paul Bearer just didn't get some psychopathic giant and say, this was your brother? Like, did we do 23andMe? Did we get DNA samples? Like, how do we know that Kane was his little brother? This is the weird things, Trick, that I be thinking about sometimes.
Hey, man, shout out to Kane and Taker.
Shout out to Kane and Taker.
Trick, now you won your first title, was the NXT North American Championship.
North America, yeah.
And as I said on Twitter, I'm a big Dirty Dom fan. I'm like, but man, they did my boy Trick dirty. I didn't like the fact that, you had the belt and you lost it so quick. But tell me, what did that feel like to know that they had enough faith in you to give you a singles run with a belt?
Man, I think that was really the start of it all. And I say that because that was the first time I had a match outside of Orlando.
Oh, really?
That was my first PLE match, when, we was working with a different crowd and we was all the way in California. And Dominic Mysterio was the champ. So I had my first entrance. Now, up to this point, Whoop That Trick's going crazy. So whoever I have a match with, you already know the crowd's rocking crazy. And usually when it comes to entrances, Whoop That Trick takes over. But when Dom Mysterio came out, how loud the boos, man, I was like, whoa.
They there.
Whoa. It was a whole nother level, man. It was like a wake up, like, yeah, we still got some work to do. So we still got some work to do, man, because Dom, bro, that level of heat that brother got is crazy.
Yeah, he's on fire with it. The heat level is unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, when the man can't even speak on the mic without getting drowned out by boos,
look, man, can't speak. And so I couldn't speak when he came out. Like, goodness, I can only imagine how. But no, it was dope, though, man. That was a dope moment.
What you got, Shay?
All right, well, Trick, man, I'm as you and our No Contest Wrestling podcast viewers know, I'm over here doing press for Den of Thieves. When I figure out when this premiere is going to happen, bro, I gotta have you there. But before I get out of here, man, we have another question that the people need to know, and I'm dying to get this from you.
Okay.
You in a bar of 50 guys, all right? And they all don't want you there.
But your haters in the bar, Trick.
Yeah, man, they hating tough. You getting the eyes and all. I need you to pick 4 other wrestlers to have your back that you know if you got them with you, you get into the car.
Okay, we're talking about that's on the current roster, NXT.
Yeah, people, your homies that you know or that you work with, or just who your squad. Who your squad of wrestlers?
I don't think we've had any NXT people named yet.
Yeah,
this will be great if we, the cats that you work with in NXT.
Okay, so I'll keep it. All right, we'll do an NXT version then.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
We want Obafemi on my side.
Obviously.
Obafemi on my side. We need the ruler. Shoot. Man, let me think. Got to get Tony D in there. Tony D.
Yeah. Solid.
Hey, he legit. He's solid. You know what I'm saying? People don't know he had a whole wrestling background, a whole nother life before this, and he could throw down.
Okay.
Man, let me think.
You, Oba, the Don. That's what we got so far.
You, Oba, the Don. But bring Young OG, man. Young OG, he's jumping off the roof. He's a Spider-Man to our Avengers team. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
They're going crazy. Shoot, that's 3.
So we got Javon Evans on the squad now.
We got Javon Evans on the team. Give me Lexus King.
Really?
Because
okay.
I'm gonna tell you why. However much the people hate me, I know they hate him way more. So
that's jealousy. They're jealous because his beard is on another level, man.
That's smart. I like that.
Look, give me Lexus King, and now we down to 25 people. 20, we
alone.
So that made it way easier. Then shoot, man. Last one for NXT. Let me think.
No, I think that's your forward.
Yeah,
that's your forward right there.
Because
you're the 5th one. You're the 5th
Oba,
one. Yeah.
Don, Javon, and Lexus.
Yeah, bro. That's a solid team, man. TJ, bro, I appreciate you holding us down, man. Trick, before I get out of here, man, what can I expect to see from you at Deadline, man?
Hey, man. Vengeance. I'm coming back to get mine. Hey, look, y'all already tell me to put the hit out on him. Rectify the situation with Ridge Holland, everything he's done to NXT, everything he's done to chase you, everything he's done to destroy the New Day. Hey, it's time for me to get this thing right.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Trick, I'll see you. TJ, man, thank you for holding it down. My Kenobi, bro.
Well, I'm just going to say this to you, O'Shea, before you dip and leave me in Trick. Look, man, I get it. You're not here. You left us.
My God. Here you go.
Stone Cold's done press junkets. You know what I mean?
Oh, my God.
Edge has done press junkets. The Kurt Angle has done press junkets, and they all came back. You want to leave me here. And I'm just saying, I'll call you when I need you is I think what's going to happen here. I'm going to have to call you when I need you.
Blame Gerard Butler. I'll see y'all later.
All right, so Trick, now, O'Shea, he just had to step out. He's got some movie star stuff to do, movies.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Den of Thieves, man.
Right. So we got, again, this Saturday, Minneapolis, Minnesota at the Armory, we're going to have Deadline. And it's the Iron Survivor Challenge. And that's something that you won. Why don't you tell the people a little bit about how tough it is to participate in the Iron Survivor Challenge?
Man, first thing first, I think this is my favorite match of all time.
Oh, word?
And the reason I say this, TJ, is because, you need points. And that's something that every human on Earth understands is a point system because we all watch sports.
Facts.
And when you racing the clock and it's wrestling, but it's wrestling combined with basketball, it's wrestling combined with soccer, it's wrestling combined with football. Like, hey man, you got to get points and you got to beat the clock. And man, I tell everybody, I cut that promo last year. Man, I'm Trick Curry, I'm Tricky McGrady, I'm Mike Trick, I'm 23 in LA, never mind who you thought it was, I'm Trick James. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
But it was just the way this match is structured, which, if I'm not mistaken, give y'all some personal. Man, I think Shawn Michaels was the one to create this style match all by himself.
Oh, work.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Shout out to the GOAT.
Shout out to the GOAT, HBK. But man, this Iron Survivor match, man, is great. And I think that's really what took my career to the next level. So, I'm pretty sure we see somebody else get that opportunity this year.
Yeah, and it was and not just the fact that you won, but how you won. You
Right.
were down, I think there was like 2 minutes left, if I'm not, somewhere around that near the end. And you got what, 2 pins at the end of the match?
Man, I want to say I pinned. Oh,
4.
I got pinned every.
I mean, it was just like, it looked like there wasn't going to be Trick's night. And then within 2.5, 3 minutes, you turned the whole match around. And then again, that made me go, all right, I knew this dude. I knew this Trick dude had it. But speaking of Trick Williams, where'd that name come from?
Man, so my government name, name my mama gave me, it's Matrick.
Mm-hmm.
My mom's name is Monica. My dad's name is Patrick.
So they merged them. Okay.
We merged that together, Matrick, which is, an uncommon name to most.
Yeah.
So
trust me, I understand that, Trick. My first name is Temujin. So Temujin, yeah, it was actually Genghis Khan's real name. So I feel it. So TJ was easier to go by than having to, get people.
How many kids you got, man? How many kids you got?
none that I know of, Trick. None on the books that I'm aware of. Not unlike Khan, who populated half of the planet.
Right. I'm 2% Chinese. I think that's my great granddaddy. But no, man. Matrick. And just like playing sports, I would say like college. It went from Matrick to some people was like, hey, yo, Trick. In which Trick is an unfamiliar name. In the community. We know Trick Daddy. We know Trick, the battle rapper. There's a few tricks running around. So I thought, hey man, that's pretty cool. So when it came to wrestling, I was like, it's just a natural transition.
Mm-hmm.
I already used it, so it worked out.
Trick Willie. Now you went to South Carolina. A guy from my high school, Altoona, Pennsylvania, was a South Carolina legend at quarterback. A guy named Steve Tannehill. He played there years ago in the '90s, and he was famous for wearing an ear ring and having a ponytail at the time when a lot of dudes, especially in the South, didn't play that. So it was tough for him to acclimate, and it was tough for the people to accept him until he started winning some games for the Gamecocks, and then he became.
He was a dog. He was a dog.
You're aware of Steve then, okay?
Yeah, of course, man. They got his pictures all over the walls and everything in the training room and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah, he was.
Never met him, but I know who he is.
Yeah, he was something else. He was just one of those athletes as a kid who was good at everything: basketball, baseball, football. He was also a guy, Trick, who he talked trash at a time where that wasn't big. I can remember watching him play basketball games, and he was a point guard, and he'd dribble up the court and then just stop and start clapping in front of the dude's face that was guarding him. And then I know when he went on to, South Carolina, there was a time where you guys beat Clemson, and he went and autographed the paw print on the 50-yard line of Clemson. And I'm sure they had to get a police escort out of town for that one. So that's just my little South Carolina connection. Hey,
look, man, everything you named about him, it must be, a Gamecock, a cocky thing. You know what I mean?
He was. He really was, man. He was that dude.
We talk trash, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We got long hair, we rock the earrings.
I'm saying.
And, it just comes natural.
So you finished up South Carolina, you went and had a little stint with the Eagles, right? And you did that, which I said the Cowboy fan in me is going to overlook that. I still like you, despite the fact that I hate your team. You start working a regular job, and then you got the call from WWE. Tell me about that. What was that like?
Man, it was crazy because I was out substitute teaching and, you know, middle school and high school kids and coaching high school football.
What were you teaching? What subjects?
Well, I got my degree in physical education.
Okay.
So PE, you know, that's what you know, sports. That's what we do.
Bet.
Yeah, man, I remember being in those classrooms, and TJ, the kids was bad. Like, I ain't gonna lie, man. Like,
yeah,
the kids was bad, and I don't know if I shouldn't say that, but they know it. Everybody knows it.
It's
you know
true.
what I mean?
You know, some of them are.
You just deserve to get paid more for what they do, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, it's just the system that we got going on, educational. You know, the kids need to, you know, yeah, man, it was a tough situation. And I'll say it like this. It was at a point in my life where I had already went to a WWE tryout, one. And they told me, hey, if you're serious about this, you know, go get some training, go to the indies, and we'll bring you back for another tryout. Now, mind you, I wasn't really familiar with how the system of really becoming a WWE superstar. That's all I knew about it. They said, go get some training. They didn't say how they're going to keep in contact with me. They didn't say nothing like that. It was kind of like a shot in the wind. Like, hey, do this and we'll see what happens. I said, okay, cool. So I go back into my regular life, man. I'm coaching kids. You know, I'm fresh off a cut from football, you know, with the Philadelphia Eagles. So it's like I can still kind of play ball if I want to. You know, I can always coach and teach, you know, or become a PE teacher if that's what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? Or this is shot in the wind opportunity to become a WWE superstar. And this is something I never said out loud. There was a kid named RJ. And RJ, he came from a background where, you know, I felt like I was very helpful for him. His father had passed away. He actually used to play basketball for the Gamecocks as well. His father did. And I played a very pivotal role, you know, just trying to make sure that, you know, he kept his head on straight and he was doing the things that he was supposed to do so he can get an opportunity to play, you know, ball or whatever it is at the next level, at least graduate and have a good life, you know what I mean? And I remember talking to the coaches and, you know, I said, hey, you know, I got an opportunity to become a WWE superstar. And he's like, yo, that's great. You know, why don't you go do it? I'm thinking, man, you know, like there's these kids here, man, and like, you know, they need me. You know what I mean? Like I'm helping them, which is a very arrogant thing to say in the first place because, like, you know what I'm saying? I ain't God. I ain't got all that power. But I did feel like, you know, I was helpful enough to their lives where, you know, maybe I could help them make a difference. And the coach pulled me to the side and said, hey, this kid that you're talking about, in 2 years, he's going to be graduating. Maybe he's playing sports. Maybe he's doing this. But he's going to be moving on with his life. And you are going to be right here wondering what it would have been like if you took an opportunity on yourself to go become a WWE superstar. And it hit me right then and there. He said, hey, look, this job right here, being a teacher, being a coach, it ain't going nowhere. It's always going to be here. So that opportunity to become a WWE superstar, look, it's a small window. Man, when I say I moved probably a couple weeks later, man, just moved to Philadelphia. I moved in with my uncle. That whole WrestleMania stint that, you know, we went to Philadelphia, I moved with my uncle, Sweet Baby James. That's a real story. You know what I mean? I never met my uncle before. And he found out who I was. Like, you know, he was real tight with my pops growing up. But I never met him because, you know, I'm from South Carolina. I'm not from Philly. So he's like, hey, he knew my dad. He said, you over here, you got your head on straight. You trying to do something positive with your life. Then you can move in with me, pay this for rent, and you chase your dream. And that's how that whole thing, you know, came into fruition. And I just remember that because I'm a big proponent of, you know, taking leaps of faith and jumping. If there's something you want to do, you got to go do it. And I've had to do that multiple times, you know, in my life. And shoot, I love to talk about it too, motivate somebody else, you know?
Yeah, and the crazy thing is you said you were a substitute teacher and you're, you know, you're trying to teach these kids. The fact now is you're on a platform, Trick, where now your reach to these young kids is greater, far greater than I'm sure you could ever imagine. And over the next, you know, decade or so, as your career continues to grow and evolve, you're going to continue to just be that role model to a lot of kids that look like you, that don't look like you, that are in the same situation, who are just fans. So the fact is, you're still having that chance to affect children and help change their lives in a bigger scheme now because of what you're doing with the WWE.
Man, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, you're right, man. I think this ultimately, I'm gonna tell another story. I got all day. I don't know how much time you got.
Man, I'm with you here, Trick Daddy.
Yeah, so, there's a point where that whole Philadelphia Eagle thing was, it was happening. Like, oh, hey, Matrick went undrafted to the Philadelphia Eagles, and I was doing motivational speaking things, and I went to a middle school to talk to the kids. Now, I didn't know it was going to be the full student body of a whole middle school,
Okay.
right there in Columbia, South Carolina. But man, I went up there and I was talking. I lie to you not, you would have thought I was the president of the United States. Like, not a pen would drop. And this is middle school. And you know how middle school kids are. They full of energy,
rowdy.
Going crazy. It gets rowdy. But it's because I was presented as Trick Williams, the Philadelphia Eagle, and I just saw the power that came with that. Like, hey, these kids, they listen because you're doing something that they perceive to be cool at life. And the respect they showed me was amazing. Mind you, I get cut from the Philadelphia Eagles, come back to work the same school or a similar school right there in the same area, and I can't get the kids quiet to take the role. That's because they wouldn't listen to me because I was a substitute teacher. You know what I mean?
That's a tough job in itself,
It's a tough job in itself. And that's why I say these teachers, they deserve more money, man. They really do. But I learned a valuable lesson that day. Just like, hey, your message hits way harder when it's coming from somebody who, is on that platform.
Yeah.
And I never get it twisted to think that, hey, it's really about me. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm grateful, for the opportunities and everything like that. But ultimately, I know, man, this platform is to do good. You know what I mean? Like, tell people what's real. Motivate somebody else, man. Like, yeah, I got the title. That's great. But since I got the title, I'm going to take it back to my old high school. I took it with me to Jamaica. You know what I mean? I'm with the kids in Jamaica. That meant everything to them. You know what I mean? Like, when has a WWE title ever been in Jamaica?
No, are you part Jamaican?
Man, I'm not. I just wanted to go.
Oh, man,
I just wanted to go.
Okay.
And I didn't want to go to even go be with the kids. I just happened to see these kids was on a field trip, at the Bob Marley Museum, and I was there because I wanted to see what was going on. And these kids on a field trip. And they're like, oh, big muscles and everything like that. You know what I mean? And then some of the kids recognized like Trick Williams. I was like, man, I got my title in the car. I went and got the car. When I got the title. And, these kids was having a great time, man. If even for 5 minutes, they was the WWE champion.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, bro, this is more powerful than, me just trying to get all the glory all the time. Like, that's not what it's about. Like, I want to motivate somebody else because, man, somebody was doing that for me when I was a kid, when it was my dream to become an NFL superstar. If an NFL guy had came back and told me, hey, yo, you want to do this? Boom, 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 boom. It would have meant so much. And I know that. So it's just, I'm grateful for the opportunity to do that for other people.
That's beautiful, man. And we want to remind everybody for the third consecutive year, Deadline will feature the men's and women's Iron Survivor Challenge, with the winners earning a future match for the NXT Championship against Trick Willie and the NXT Women's Championship. In addition, now this PLE, the Premium Live Event, and that's still weird for me to say. I still get caught up trying to say PPV, Trick, and that's not the case anymore. But this Premium Live Event will also feature the biggest superstars from NXT, in addition to NXT champion Trick Williams, who's with us now, NXT Women's Champion Roxanne Perez, NXT North American Champion The Dawn Tony D'Angelo, NXT Women's North American Champion Fallon Henley, Javon Evans, we spoke about him, Kalani Jordan, All Ego Ethan Page, who's a guy you've had some beef with, Lola Vice, Jada Parker, and more. So, Deadline, what should we expect this Sunday? Saturday, I'm sorry, as it streams in the U.S. exclusively on Peacock, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific.
Man, it's definitely a stat show. And look, man, you just named some of the dogs of NXT. We're
Top
talking
dogs.
younger too, Ethan Page. We're talking Eddie
We still
Thorpe, man.
ain't got love for Ethan Page, right?
Man, we'll never have love for Ethan Page. Even though he made a decent diss track, I'll give him that.
Okay, you know what? I won't interrupt you. Speaking of which, diss tracks. Petey, Butch, that song, bro, I had that on. I was just playing that. Talk to me about the music real quick. I mean to interrupt you, but you brought that in. This track you had on Pete Dunne, how did that come about? Because let me tell you something. It was banging.
Man, it's crazy. I just always loved hip hop, man. It's literally that simple. And, rapping is just something that you do. You know what I mean? Like, we was on the back of the bus. We would always rap. We would freestyle. And I never been to the studio because, honestly, I just never wanted to be that guy, that's that SoundCloud rapper. But that's just me. You know what I mean? Like, football was my way. But, for some reason, I just said, man, forget that, man. I got something I want to put down. So I went to the studio and I said, he's a butch. And I meant every word. He's a butch. And man, the song blew up, man. We had like millions of views on Twitter alone. We was in Forbes magazine, and shout out to everybody who part of the music video with me. Like, the cameos went crazy for that one.
Yeah, like the Dawn was in there, Lash was in there. You had everybody just vibing. He's a butch. But
Arsenal from Battle Rap was in there.
Okay.
Just people, they were down with it. So yeah, man, we let the world know that Pete Dunne is a butch. And it's crazy because people still, when he travels, that's a chant that goes on for Pete. So that's pretty cool.
And right now, R-Truth is taking that up. He's beefing with him. R-Truth doesn't know that there's a difference between Pete and Butch. He thinks that they're two different people. I think you just never know with R-Truth, who I will say this. R-Truth's one of the greatest sports entertainers of all time, in my opinion. Like,
man, tell R-Truth to get on the remix, man. Look, if he wants to get this thing started, look, and I'm working Ridge. Ridge ain't far from a butch himself.
Well, him and Pete were together for a minute. So, the Brawling Brutes.
Now we talking. Let's go ahead and drop a diss track.
What if we get you and R-Truth battling Pete and Butch? Well, Pete is Butch. Ridge and Butch. I mean, look, the stories write themselves there, Trick. Stories write themselves. So, Trick, what we usually do is, every guest that we have here, O'Shea and I like to say, we are now inducting you into the No Contest Wrestling Hall of Fame for joining us. So I want to, applaud you for that. And I usually ask wrestlers, and we've had CM Punk, we've had Mark Henry, I've asked them, like, we've had Bianca Belair, what matches would they like to see placed on a loop, on a reel next to their bust in our Hall of Fame. Now, because you're just getting started, and I know, man, we haven't even seen the best of Trick Williams yet. Let's just be honest. This is just the start for you. So let me ask you something different. If you were to find someone who was unfamiliar with wrestling, right, and you wanted to get them hooked, and you were going to give them 3 matches to watch that would make them wrestling fans, 3 matches that you've loved since you came up, what 3 would they be?
Oh, man. Well, I'm going to start off with Rock Hogan.
Okay, WrestleMania,
Rock Hogan. To me, that match right there is the ultimate feeling of what the sport is about. I can only imagine the electricity in that building. I believe it was in Canada.
Toronto, yep.
Yeah. So, man, that has to be number 1.
Especially from a psychology point of view, the way one walked in as the face, one walked in as a heel. The crowd said, nah, this ain't what we want. So they had to kind of flip it until they got to the final, to the finish. So, yeah, just as far as wrestling psychology goes, that's got to be one of the greatest matches of all time.
Has to be. Man, probably Shawn Michaels Taker. Okay.
Which one?
Yeah, man, I'm gonna probably say the first one. The first one was
WrestleMania or the Hell in the Cell, though?
Man, the WrestleMania.
Okay.
When Taker was diving.
Oof.
That
was almost we avoided that disaster with that dive
right.
too, right? So I believe that was that 25 WrestleMania, I think. I have to double check that off.
I'm not mistaken, something like that.
Okay, so the first Undertaker Shawn WrestleMania match, okay. And
third, that Iron Survivor match last year.
That's what's up.
And the Iron Survivor match, like, to me, if you're a wrestling fan or not, if you know what I mean, if you understand entertainment, period. If you like sports, if you like wrestling, if you like people, period, man, that match would make you feel something.
The Iron Survivor. And can you refresh my memory? I forget who came out on top in that men's match.
Trick Willie, Tricky 2 times. I'm sure you say it 2 times, man.
2 times.
Yeah.
Trick Willie, Trick Willie.
And shout out to everybody else in that match. Like, seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Man, Dijak, Josh Briggs, Tyler Bate, and Braun Breaker. Man, everybody was like just on fire, which made this match, mean so much more than I can do by myself. So, and everybody you see is pretty much doing good now. So that just goes to show you.
Yeah, no doubt. Speaking of which, you brought up his name. I know this is about you, but since you brought him up, Braun Breaker, man, you guys share that football background. Were you guys tight during his time in NXT, and did you really have any real interaction with him?
Yeah, man, me and Braun are the same class. Our whole class actually, decently tight. Me, Braun Breaker, Tony D'Angelo, and the Creed brothers. We was kind of the athletes, being brought into, the performance center.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was one of the first times they did it in bulk like that, like kind of had an athlete tryout and just kind of brought in athletes and put us to the side and say, hey, we're trying something new with y'all.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And there's also a guy, Parker Boudreaux. He's no longer with us.
Yeah, he's over in Japan right now doing some stuff.
Yeah, he's in Japan doing something. But yeah, and they gave us an opportunity, and we all rose to the occasion, man. All of us are title holders at this time.
Yeah,
I mean, at sometime. So shout out to everybody who came up with the game, man.
Yeah, the future, man. The future of wrestling is there. And I've also said that if Tyler Bate was 6 feet tall, he might be the greatest wrestler on there. I love Tyler Bate. I love his style. Just he's the big, strong boy for a dude not that big in height. He just makes up for in almost everything else. And, of course, Braun's doing his thing. You're doing your thing. Tony's doing his. The future of NXT and WWE, man. As a wrestling fan, we're excited to see where the future takes you guys. And, man, Trick, I'd sit here for the next 2-3 hours and talk to you, brother. But I think it's time we let you go. I'm going to pull this out. I got my own version right here.
Look, man, I'm glad you did.
I'm glad
you did. You got to keep that thing on you, man. You got to keep that thing on you.
Now, you see, you got the newer one. I got an older one here. There was this. I'll share a quick story with you, Trick. There was a Instagram page called Wrestle Rumble a few years ago, and great page. What they do is, they give out, prizes. They have pick'em games for all the PLEs, NXT, and WWE. They give out prizes, belts, and things. And one time they had a contest that they were giving out all 8 NXT title belts. So we're talking the NXT men's and women's, the 2 European titles, the North American, the cruiserweight, and the tag team titles. So 8 titles. And I paid $10. I entered this contest. I spent $1, 10 entries, $10. 3 months later, I get this email that they've been trying to find me. They're like, you won this contest. And I was like, this ain't true. And then 3 days later, I get 2 boxes and I've got all 8 NXT belts in my possession. So, I'm a big NXT fan is what I'm getting at with your Trick.
Hey, man, likewise, my brother, likewise.
Well, the NXT champion, Trick Williams, you can catch him at Deadline this weekend, defending that title. And get used to the name, get used to the face, the future of the WWE, the future of wrestling. One of them, you're staring at him right now. And future is bright, Trick. Can't wait to see what the future holds for you, my man.
Yes, sir. Hey, I appreciate you, TJ. Thanks for having me.
No doubt. On behalf of O'Shea, who's out doing, movie star type things, want to say thank you. And I got to leave you with one more. Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
That's Trick. Trick Williams, everybody. Appreciate you, brother.
Yes, sir.
So shout out to that dude, Trick Williams, man. What a great interview we had with him. Next week, we're still working on a guest. We'll have one for you, I'm sure. O'Shea will be back. He'll be done doing his movie star type stuff. I'll be here because I'm always here. And hopefully you will be here too. And remember, follow us on all the socials. On X, there's No Contest. On Instagram, No Contest Wrestling Podcast. And you can always find all of our videos on the Rich Eisen Show YouTube page. Until next week, peace.